In August 1914, the world went to war, but how big were the navies of the great powers? Britain had of course the largest, 20 dreadnoughts, 43 dreadnought battleships, 9 battle cruisers, 34 armoured cruisers, 108 light cruisers, 300 plus destroyers and 74 submarines. This fleet was primarily split into three. There was the Grand Fleet in the North Sea at Scapa Flow under Admiral Sir John Jellicoe. They had all 20 dreadnoughts, 12 pre-dreadnought battleships, 4 battle cruisers and 11 armoured cruisers. This fleet was meant to protect Britain itself, primarily in the North Sea. But if any ships did get through into the English Channel, they had the Channel Fleet, a reserve force, under the command of Vice Admiral Sir Cecil Burney. They didn't have any dreadnoughts, but they did have 25 pre-dreadnought battleships and 6 armoured cruisers. Then there was the Mediterranean Fleet at Gibraltar under Admiral Sir Berkeley Milne. They had 3 battle cruisers and 4 armoured cruisers. There were of course many destroyers and submarines dotted around as well, and many other smaller minor British bases. But those smaller ships are far too difficult to track exactly where they were. The French had a deal with the British, basically promising to come to their aid if German ships were ever to come into the English Channel. Therefore the French felt comfortable keeping the main bulk of their fleet at Toulon, trusting the British to defend their north side. France's job in the event of war was to protect the Mediterranean shipping zones. They had 4 dreadnoughts, 26 pre-dreadnought battleships, 0 battle cruisers, 22 armoured cruisers, 13 light cruisers, 84 destroyers and 62 submarines. But you have to bear in mind, some of their pre-dreadnought battleships were over a century old and still made out of wood, which would do very little in the First World War. The Russian fleet was split into 2, the Baltic Fleet under Admiral Nikolai Essen, near St. Petersburg, and the Black Sea Fleet under Vice Admiral Andrei Ebergard, based at Sevastopol in the Crimea. They had 7 dreadnoughts under construction, 4 for the Baltic and 3 for the Black Sea, but at the time of the war, none were available. They had 10 pre-dreadnought battleships, 0 battle cruisers, 6 armoured cruisers, 16 light cruisers, 94 destroyers and 29 submarines. But what you've got to remember with Russia is that they lost around 2/3 of their navy just 9 years previously, fighting Japan. Most of the German navy was in the High Sea Fleet. The German navy was mostly split into 2. One part was in the North Sea, the other part was in the Baltic. However, due to the Kiel Canal, these 2 fleets could link up very easily. They were under the command of Admiral Friedrich von Ingenhall and Admiral Prince Henry of Prussia, the Emperor's brother. They had 14 dreadnoughts, 30 pre-dreadnought battleships, 4 battle cruisers, 8 armoured cruisers, 38 light cruisers, 90 destroyers and 28 submarines. Their ally, Austria-Hungary, under Admiral Anton Haus, had 3 dreadnoughts, 12 pre-dreadnought battleships, 0 battle cruisers, 3 armoured cruisers, 9 light cruisers, 18 destroyers and 6 submarines to reinforce their ally. Italy, under Commander-in-Chief Admiral Prince Luigi of Savoy, Duke of the Abruzzi, had 3 dreadnoughts, 9 pre-dreadnought battleships, 0 battle cruisers, 10 armoured cruisers, 19 light cruisers, 36 destroyers and 21 submarines. The Ottomans were meant to have 2 dreadnoughts that were under construction in British ports, yet when war broke out, the British seized these 2 dreadnoughts for themselves. I've made a whole video about this already, which will be linked at the end of the video. I highly advise you check it out after. Therefore, the Ottomans had technically 0 dreadnoughts, 2 pre-dreadnought battleships, 0 battle cruisers, but late 1914 the Germans did donate 1 to them to get them into the war, 2 armoured cruisers, 8 light cruisers, 8 destroyers and 0 submarines. The Japanese navy was evenly split into 2, one half under Vice Admiral Yamaya Tamin and the other under Admiral Hikonojo Kamimura. They had 2 dreadnoughts, 16 pre-dreadnought battleships, 2 battle cruisers, 13 armoured cruisers, 16 light cruisers, 52 destroyers and 13 submarines. Last but not least, the United States, in August 1914, had 10 dreadnoughts, 23 pre-dreadnought battleships, 0 battle cruisers, 12 armoured cruisers, 23 light cruisers, 50 destroyers, and 30 submarines. All of my sources can be found below here if you want to check them out. But what were the totals? The Entente, excluding the US, had 29 dreadnoughts, 100 pre-dreadnought battleships, 11 battle cruisers, 85 armoured cruisers, 172 light cruisers, around 600 destroyers, and around 200 submarines, compared to the Central Powers, 17 dreadnoughts, 44 pre-dreadnought battleships, 4 battle cruisers, 13 armoured cruisers, 55 light cruisers, 116 destroyers, and 34 submarines. Clearly the Entente had a massive advantage here. Comment down below something that you find interesting about these numbers. Personally, I find it interesting that Britain had 74 submarines, France 62 submarines, and yet Germany, who would later become known for their submarines in World War I, the U-boats, had only 28 at the start. I find that very interesting. Comment below if you know why. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, it really helps me out, but until the next one, goodbye.